Funk's on the run, and it's it's just a good soundtrack. Hello my brothers and sisters, my name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 takes place a bit while after the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Now Peter Quill, or Star-Lord, and Drax and the others are now a group for hire, where you have a problem with either some enemies or something that needs to be transported or anything, you can hire them and then they will do this job. It just makes sense to make them kind of criminals for hire. Well, they're not criminals per se, but they do sometimes do some shady shit. So the movie starts out with that you follow the Guardians of the Galaxy, or from now on I'm just gonna call the Guardians. So you follow the Guardians on their latest mission where they have to protect some batteries from, I believe, interdimensional being. It isn't explained and it's not important. You just, all it does is it shows you is that the gang's back together and they have some awesome music with them. And it's actually funny because this time they have brought with them speakers so they can hook up Star-Lord's Walkman so they can listen to music while they are beating up bad guys. Awesome idea, I must say. Really awesome idea. Anywho, so they do this mission and then they go into some comeuppance with some gold people, and I do have a feeling that there are gold, because they go on and on how about they are the perfect being. They have engineered their own genomes, I believe, to make what in their eyes is the perfect being. And they get a sour eye on the Guardians because someone does something that's not good. That's what I'm gonna say. And then you would think, okay, so this movie is about the Guardians versus the gold people, but no. That's actually the most ignored part in this entire movie. We then jump forward to Yondo. He's the blue guy with their tomahawk who can whistle and then an arrow gonna kill people. And he's with his Ravagers folks, and you find out that he wants something with the Ravagers, but the Ravagers will not give it to him. And there seems to be a story arc with him, or character arc with him, so you go, aha, is something about the Guardians and Yondo. This is the story of the movie. But no, it isn't. And then we jump forth to the Guardians' ship gets attacked by the gold people and they're about to die, and then they get saved by a man. They crash land on a planet and they meet with this man, and it turns out to be Peter's dad. So is this movie about Peter and his dad creating a bond, connecting? Yes, kinda ish. The most part of Star-Lord's character arc is about him and his father connecting. It is the driving point of this movie, especially when we get to the third act. But what Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 actually is that you have Ratchet that kind of feels like he's not really part of the group, and it's not because that the group resents him, it's just things that he does makes him think that he's not really that much part of the group. And Groot is okay, I'm gonna stop right here and just focus on Groot. Groot is cute for sure, yes. He is a little biscuit, but he just doesn't do that much in this movie at all. In fact, he's used for some comic reliefs, and he's used in fights once, and it's not really a fight again, it's a comic relief, and then he's used in the end of the movie, and that's it. He's basically not in here. So, but when he's on screen, he is cute, and you really empathize with him, but yeah. I just thought they could do more with him, especially since he is one of the main 5 of the Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, but you have them. Then you have Drax, who is just, he doesn't actually have an arc as per se. He does have something going on with Mantis, you saw in the trailer, and it's not important. It's just she is the one he interact with, and you kind of get a glimpse into more of his past and how he he walks around with this incredible dark burden and feeling of losing his whole family to Thanos. You don't get much to know about how it happened or what happened during this massacre, but you get an idea of one of his longings before that happened. And then you have Gamora, whose character arc in this movie is basically with Nebula, her sister. To sum it up, the movie is about these different characters' interaction and growing with everyone else but each other. Maybe except Ratchet. But he connects more with Yondu than anyone else. So yeah. So in the first movie, it focused on these 5 individuals who are outlaws and, wouldn't work together, have to work together because of the circumstances. This one makes them go through an arc where it focuses on their emotions and who they really are deep inside, but not with each other. And that is one of my gripes about this movie. I will get to that later. But what this movie does great is that the pace of the movie is actually quite good. You don't feel like there are scenes that are wasted. However, I would have loved to see more of, establishing scenes between these guys. You have so many to choose from the first movie, especially when they stood in the circle and decided that they're gonna fight this opposing threat. They might die. They don't really like each other that much, but this is what they're gonna do, and you are the ones I'm gonna fall with if it comes to that. But scenes like that, there are not that really here. There is in the There are in the beginning ish before they meet Pilstad, and there are at the end of the movie. That's pretty much it. So what do I like about this movie? Well, this movie had humor. It was not as funny as the last one. The first Guardians of the Galaxy is, to this date, my most funny, hilarious cinema experience I have ever had. And that can depends on, where you see the movie, who you see the movie with, and it doesn't need to be with your friends or anything. It could be with the entire audience that you didn't know. But I was laughing almost constantly from beginning to end through the first movie, and it didn't quite do it here. It was funny for sure, but the most funny character in this movie is Drax. He's the comedian. He's the goof. He's the goofy goof. So I would have hoped that, a bit more humor. And I know you can't just make it a comedy all the time. You need to have some gravitas. But going from the first one, you just kind of expect more humor. But it was, in many places, it was funny. Don't get me wrong, it's not one of those, high educated, boring movie that just go and talks about not just the weather, but the economy and the politics and you just fall asleep. No, it is funny at times, but you just sometimes wish there was more humor or more emphasis on it. The story is not as compelling as the first one because the most of it just focuses around Peter Quill and his father, and then you have the other characters thrown in. I have heard that someone thinks that these characters just doesn't have anything to do, so you just make scenes with them, and I don't think that is true, because their individual character arcs are enduring and fascinating to see. But I will agree that they could have been integrated better into the main story. Okay, so let's get the gripes out of the way. There's some they're not that big, but they are there. They're there. They're not that big, but they're there. They're not that big, but they are there. First of all, the Groot thing actually annoyed me a lot. It wasn't because the Groot is now a hindrance to the Guardians because he's a baby and they have to take care of him and he can't actually participate that much in the battles. But they didn't integrate him that much into the group at all. He was usually made for some comic relief, but not that much. And he since he's this big, he can't fight anyone. The only thing he managed to do is trip a guy and throw him off the rail, and that's it. I would have loved to see more, find a way to integrate him better into the story. And I would have want to see, a great villain, opposing threat. The villain in here is good. Could have been better. It's not a terrible villain, but the most of the movie, the villain is not even present. So it's just these characters have to do this and these characters have to do that, and then at the end they fight the villain and save the day once again. And especially when the first movie had such a weak villain. Now I know why they didn't focus that much on the villain in the first movie, because you have these 5 characters we have just been introduced to, and you need to focus on them and their relationships for this movie to work, and that makes little screen time for the villain. But this second outing, these characters, they are established, put more focus on the villain, gave us a great villain. But no, the villain here is not that great. It is fine. It's fine. But I'm getting kind of sick and tired of with Marvel villains just go, well, how was the villain? It's fine, I guess. Not bad. Not good either. Just fine. Kind of me. Forgettable. Me. I would love to see more emphasizing on the villains, especially since we are coming closer and closer to Infinity War, and we've seen 5 minutes of Thanos, and that's being generous, and he's gonna be this big opposing threat, and he's not that established in this movie. However, you do hear about him. He's not shown or anything, but you do hear how he can be cruel, which is great. But I just hope that in Thor Ragnarok, they kind of put some more hints in that this dude is not just cruel and menacing, he's powerful as fuck. So, we get a feeling that he might take down the Avengers, man. So yeah, the villain could have been better. And the soundtrack, the soundtrack is fine. It's not just fine, it's actually quite good, but I just missed some more upbeat tones. Is that even a gripe? I don't fucking know. But yeah, I missed some more upbeat tones. They are really well and good choices, especially for the scenes. But just hooga chaka, hooga hooga. I just missed some kind of that style. How was the soundtrack? It was actually quite great, good. So what's wrong? I just want some more upbeat songs. But isn't it great? Yeah. But yeah, and then of course I wanted the big issue for this movie. It's not that the golden people are not that much in the movie. I believe they are in 4 or 5 scenes total. No, it is the missing interaction with the Guardians. The fact that their character arcs are not intertwined. As I said, is Peter and his dad, it is Ratchet and Yondu, it is Drax and Mantis, it is Nebula and Gamora, it's Groot and nobody. The trailer makes you think that there's a big part of the movie is the romance between Peter and Gamora, but it's not played that much into. It's mentioned 4 times in the movie, and that's it. And that's the only real relationship between the Guardians that we have, besides of Drax and Groot, which is made for comic relief, and that's it. So I would have loved to see more of that. But the way they take the story is refreshing in the fact that they're not going to save the galaxy. They end up saving the galaxy, yes, because, Guardians of the Galaxy, you can't have them save one fucking planet. Then you're not the Guardians of the Galaxy, then the Guardians of the freaking planet. So yes, they are going to save the galaxy in the end, but I love the fact that it wasn't, the whole movie is just centered around, you have to save the galaxy again, fuck, what am I gonna do? But I would have loved to see it, in the background, not the forefront, but in the background, just opposing, just being there, threatening, menacing. So it will always be the back of their heads why they go through this movie. To start with, Peter doesn't want anything to do with his father because, the father was never there for him at all. And then quite suddenly he goes from, I can't do this, to best daddy ever. And there's nothing of, I have my friends and we have to save the galaxy. Sometimes it's not mentioned at all, in fact. So I'm just coming from left and right with all these points, and they don't make sense at all, do they? I don't fucking know what I'm saying. But so here's the deal: the end of this movie is what really won me over. And don't misunderstand me. I wasn't sitting there watching this movie and just go, "What a fucking piece of shit! Damn, this is the worst. Fuck." I wasn't going that. I wasn't doing that. It was an entertaining movie, and I will probably put it in the... How many movies have you had? Top 10, 11? I don't know how many. It is at the bottom up until then. It is entertaining. It's better than Thor: The Dark World. I enjoy Thor: The Dark World because the story is interesting, and you see more of the mythology behind Asgard and the life tree Yggdrasil. But the acting in that movie is just poor shit. It's the worst acting I have ever seen in any of the Marvel movies, and most of the part is actually quite good, but the Thor movie is just poor shit. And going from, Thor 1 was directed by a Hamlet Shakespearean director who knows how to bring the best freaking performance out of actors to that shit. Ugh. Took me out of the movie. But yeah, it was enjoyable, and the scenes, it did make me laugh. It was interesting to see Yondu's character, he becoming a much more complex character. But then you get to the third act. You find out what's the deal with the gold people. Not just that they have seen them angry at the Guardians, but what their role actually is. You also get, the Guardians confronted with the villain. And it's actually an entertaining battle. And, the Guardians have come together again to fight this opposing threat. And here it is. This is the time where you actually feel their bond. Something bad is about to happen, something dreadful, and they won't leave each other behind. And, it's this connection that you just missed through the movie. But, it is established here, which is good. It's just a tiny bit late, but it is good. And then something happens, and you get to the final 5, maybe 6 minutes of the movie. And Marvel movies are not well known to pull at your heartstrings, if you think about it. Yes, you had some moment-ish during Civil War, but then again, that's about it. But this movie's entire ending is focused around this somber moment. I won't spoil it, what it is and why it is somber, but it is. I would say that the last 5-6 minutes is in fact beautiful. That's the word I'm going to use. Not it's pretty, it's intriguing, or it's wows your way. No, it's just pure beautifulness. It's beautiful in all this meaning. And I didn't expect that. And all the humor that they had up until that part is, is put aside. I don't know if you have seen Blackadder at all. But Blackadder goes forth. The last episode, the last 5 minutes, in case you don't know, Blackadder is a comedy series with the brilliant Rowan Atkinson, Hugh Laurie, and Stephen Fry, and some other actors I don't know the name of. But it is actually really, really funny. But the 4th season of the series takes place during the First World War. And it's, black dark humor, even though it's set during this really depressing time in Britain's history. I know it's a world war, so there's a lot of depressing episodes and history taking place from many countries. But since the Blackadder focus on British soldiers, then that's why I say British history. But they do take some jabs at it, and it is very intelligent, funny. But the last 5 minutes, that goes away because now they want to do this period justice. I won't spoil that series either, but that's last 5 minutes has no laughs in it, and it's just beautiful. And it's the same with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The last 5-6 minutes is just beautiful, and it even takes time to show some I believe I can say this, some fireworks. But it's just the music, it's just the score and the acting and the framing of the scene and the pace of it, and it's just beautiful. And I appreciate so much that they dare to end on that note instead of just a joke. That being said, there are 5 end credit scene, I believe, 5 or 6, where the first comes just before the credits, but the movie has ended. And that is a joke. And so are the others, except one with the golden people, or some of the golden people. And I won't spoil it, but they do say that they are doing something, and then they, throw, let's say, a word out, and they just said, "Oh man, I was hoping it was this word. God damn it!" And then I was walking out of the cinema. It popped up. Oh my god, is that and that word put together? It's so awesome. I just love the fact that some of you haven't seen it, and you just go, "What the fuck is he talking about?" But it does. It makes sense when you see it. But yeah, the last part I actually welled up a bit, becoming teary-eyed, foggy-eyed, and that just elevated the movie a lot. I don't usually think that much about a Marvel movie once I have seen it. It's not because it's forgettable. I can remember a lot of scenes from Doctor Strange. I have only seen it once. I can also remember, of course, a lot of scenes from Guardians of the Galaxy, but the ending just stuck with me. I'm still thinking about it from time to time. And, it's just well done. And I just spent a good portion of this video talking about the ending without spoiling it, but the middle part was good as well. It's not as good as the ending. Okay, we need to focus here. We need to get to the point. I've rambled on for quite some time, and a lot of you might be confused. So here's the deal. You have these characters that you have known from the movie before that are actually still quite entertaining, but it doesn't get developed that much in their relationship to each other. You have this story that's kind of forgettable, more than the first one, since the first one also focused on them, getting together. But it isn't that much a problem because you are entertained while you're watching it. And what plot points it does use quite well, even though that me myself, I would have changed something. You get a fantastic score, you get an awesome soundtrack. I know I went from good to great to awesome, but it is an awesome soundtrack. There's something I wanted to put in the soundtrack myself, but I think that's what everyone thinks. There were some songs you would wish that would have been there. But the soundtrack is great, and I listened to Chain here earlier this day. Just an awesome song. There are an interesting villain in this movie, even though it's not present that much. And it gives a glimpse on how the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy can be connected, but it's very, very vague. I don't know if it was intentional or just what I took from it. It could be. And then you have a beautiful ending, and I know the movie is not going to be awesome just because of the ending, and that's not what I'm saying. The rest of the movie is entertaining, it is good. The rest of the movie I will actually say is entertainment guaranteed, and you should watch it in cinema, but the ending just elevated so much. Yeah, I guess you haven't guessed. I would say that with the gripes and the pros for this movie, I would say that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is worth watching and worth buying on Blu-ray. So, I've just made the most confusing review for the time being. Of all my videos, this is the most confusing. I don't think there was any plan to it at all. I just took something from the movie and just rambled about it, and then I took something else from the movie and just rambled about it, and just kept picking stuff up. So, I hope it made sense. So yeah, have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? What do you think about it? Comment below, let me read your thought. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! When we come to